Joining me today is State Superintendent Ryan Walters, unedited in his own words. Thanks for joining me, Superintendent. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You want to talk about the social studies standards? I want to as well.
Yes,
Let's pretend Mike Connor, loses at the State Supreme Court. Let's say the path is clear. What does this look like for parents in the fall?
Well, what it looks like for parents in the fall is that their kids are going to get a better understanding of American history than any other kid in the country. And I say that for several reasons. Number one, we've expanded the standards dramatically to dive into primary sources. Your kids are going to understand what the founders said because they're going to read what they said. They're going to read the Declaration of Independence, the Federalist Papers. They're going to do a deep dive into American exceptionalism. What made America the greatest country in the history of the world? Your kids are going to understand that. We're also put back into the standards the role the Bible played in American history. It obviously had a major impact in American history. We want your kids to understand that. And we're doing this without any kind of left-wing bias. We've eliminated any kind of woke insanity from the standards. We want it to be a focus on the facts. We want our kids to understand history. We had a lot in more about Tulsa. You're going to see a lot about Tulsa. You're going to see a lot about what happened here in Tulsa throughout the last 100 years. And so we're very excited. So rich American history, rich Native American history, rich history about the state. They're incredible standards. So your kids are going to get that understanding of American history.
So there's going to be the Tulsa Race Massacre in there? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and again, we expanded.
Wow, I don't think anybody's heard that.
Yeah, and we've expanded that. And it was something that was very important to me, is our kids have to know, and look, we live in the greatest country in the history of the world, but our kids have to know the good, the bad, and the ugly, the whole thing. And so yes, we included more about the Tulsa Race Massacre. Our kids need to understand what happened there. Our kids need to be able to learn from the mistakes of the past. And so it absolutely is in there, and I think it's a very important part of our history that our kids need to know.
Is this why you are so insistent on the Bible in the classrooms as that primary source?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I'll be frank with you, Rick. Look, when you have the book that is the most cited, most referenced book in American history, and you're going to tell kids, so-and-so said this, John Adams said this, Benjamin Franklin said this, okay, what's the context of that? Why did they say that? We're not pushing religion on kids. We want our kids to understand American history. We want them to understand in totality those founding documents, which is why we also are going to have a Constitution, Declaration of Independence, Federalist Papers, Bill of Rights in every classroom as well, because we want kids to be able to learn for themselves, critically think, and deep dive into these documents.
Let me just ask you, because you insist that Lee Greenwood, this has to be the God Bless America Bible. How much money has he raised so far? Has he given you an update on how this fundraising campaign is going?
Yeah, we get updates, and we'll be announcing some of those numbers soon. But what we've said is we want all the documents there. And so the Bible that we picked out there said it's got the Declaration of Independence, it's got the Constitution, it's got the Bible. So that was our easiest path to get those all in the classroom. But look, we'll explore all options to get the Bible, to get the Declaration of Independence, to get the Constitution in the classroom. And we want kids to be able to do their own deep dive into those documents. So I believe it's important. And look, you've also heard from parents all over the state that are frustrated with left-wing indoctrination in the classroom. The beauty of when you give kids primary sources and you dive into what the founders said, what they wrote, it takes out all the left-wing bias. Just read it. Read it and have your own understanding of it. Read the context of it. And as a former history teacher, that's the way I always love to teach kids too, of, hey, you're going to fall in love with the founders, you're going to fall in love with history when you read it yourself, and that's what we want to see for our kids.
I want to hone in on this just for a few minutes, and we'll take different approaches on this, but I mean, you've called teachers indoctrinators even just now, and at times godless. You said in January, classrooms were terrorist training grounds. Why on earth would I want someone like that teaching my kids the Bible, especially if in some of these cases this is their first exposure to hearing about Jesus Christ?
Sure. Well, first of all, I'm going to be crystal clear. We're not going to allow left-wing indoctrination in the classroom. When we have teachers that have pushed the most radical agenda in this nation's history in the classroom, we remove them. We're going to get them out of the classroom. We're going to make sure that our educators are the most professional in the country. And we've done a tremendous job of that. Look, I love the teachers we've got in the classroom that are there to promote academics to kids and success for kids, and we will not tolerate anything else. And so look, when you say you're going to teach the Bible in its historical context, that is what our teachers will do. We ask our teachers to teach about political events. They're going to do that without a bias as well. We're going to make sure that they're going in there in an academic setting. And remember, I taught all these things too. I taught religion. I taught politics in the classroom. And I made clear to them, hey, I'm here to give you the facts. You come to your own conclusion. I'm not here to give you a conclusion. What I'm here to do is to try to help you critically think. That's our expectation of every teacher in the state of Oklahoma.
But the legislature just removed your power about how to punish these, not removed, but reduced your power about how to punish these teachers with certificates.
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah, not really. I mean, what they did is basically codified what our own rules were. So the same rules we have in place, now the legislature's codified them, but yeah, I mean, we're still going to move forward. If I see a teacher that's indoctrinating kids, they're going to be out of the classroom. They can go do something else, but they're not going to indoctrinate our kids. That is a commitment I've made to the parents of Oklahoma. I heard it all over the state. Hey, we want to make sure that when our kids are in a classroom, they're not being told to hate America. They're not having DEI pushed down their throat. We want them to just, hey, math, history, science, that's what we want them to learn. And so that's been our point of emphasis. And look, we're very proud of our efforts. We're very proud of the teachers we've recruited in. We're very proud of the teachers we've recruited back to the classroom. And we're very proud of the teachers that are the high performers in the classroom. We have merit pay now for teachers where teachers can make 6 figures in the classroom. We're very proud about those things. But yeah, we had to eliminate the left-wing biases. We had to eliminate the influence of the teachers union that have driven education down the tubes. And so we are now getting education back on track by putting it in the hands of parents and using things like merit pay to attract the best and brightest teachers.
Respond to this, because this is the #1 thing on X and social media. You can put green eggs and ham in all the classrooms. The kids can't read it. We're 49th in education.
Sure.
Why aren't we? Where's our reading and math standard focus to pull us out of this bottom rung?
Yeah, we've never seen more of a focus than what you've seen the last 3 years under my administration. We have the largest tutoring initiative in state history for the last 3 years. For any student that falls behind in math and reading, you have access to tutors, tutoring services that we paid for at the State Department of Education. #1. #2, the largest summer school programs in state history. We help stand up a larger emphasis to make sure when kids fall behind, they have the ability over the summer to catch back up. And #3, we put into place for every student that falls more than a year behind, they get automatic supports directly from the school that go directly to parents. They get the reports of how quickly their students are being caught back up. That's for every kid in the state of Oklahoma. So we've never seen those things. We have absolutely emphasized academic achievement. Look, that's part of why I was elected. People were tired of the terrible academic outcomes in the state because of what the teachers' unions had done to our school. So we've come in and done a dramatic shift. And we're seeing the results of it. Look, I'm very proud of Tulsa. I'm very proud of the work Tulsa's done over the last 2 years. I think Ebony Johnson is doing a tremendous job. I think her team, I think the teachers there have gone to incredible lengths to try to turn that district around, and we're seeing the early progress in that. And we're going to continue to do that. That's why you see aggressive reforms out of my administration, because we want to get Oklahoma back on track. We want us to be one of the top performing states in the country.
But I've had 3 gubernatorial candidates from your party, and their priority is shifting education, or some of them have even said get back on track. I mean, there are people running to be the next governor who feel like we are not doing everything we need to do.
Well, let's talk about that. So unfortunately, right now, we don't have a governor candidate out there that is actually America first. It's actually a pro-President Trump candidate that actually is a conservative in the minds of most Oklahomans. So, you know, I mean, they say things like that, that's fine. They are way out of step with the people of Oklahoma. What the people of Oklahoma want is they want to continue to see President Trump's agenda in our schools, in our state, across all towns, cities. And that's what we need to do as a state. That's what the people of Oklahoma have demanded. It is America first. It is education reform, which means school choice, focus on academic outcomes, free market exercises like merit pay, and an emphasis on American history and American exceptionalism. It's about to be the 250th birthday there for America. Our kids should love this country. They should be proud of this country. They should be patriotic. And that means understanding all of it. That means understanding our mistakes as well. But we want kids to love this country. And we've got to get back to that. And I appreciate that President Trump has put such an emphasis on that. We should be seeing that in our kids for the next generation. And that's what I'm going to continue to be focused on.
I think a lot of people want to hear your side of what happened. What happened between you and Governor Stitt? I've got video you guys being buddies on the campaign trail.
Right.
There were always rumors of you were the anointed one that Stitt wanted. What happened between you two? I imagine immigrant children wasn't the breaking point there. What is your side of this, and why was your board torn apart?
Yeah, Rick. I'll shoot you straight. The governor brought me in, and he told me he did not like my position on green energy. He wanted to bring more green energy to the state. He didn't like that I had spoken out against that. Got a lot of concerns around green energy. I've heard it from folks all over the state. They worry about their taxes going there when they prefer their taxes to go directly towards the services they want. They're very concerned about that. They're concerned about what that means for schools and the future of the state. And so I was very clear. I serve on the CLO board and said, look, hey, I'm not going to approve these green energy contracts. Not going to do it. Not going to use state funds, state resources for those things. And he told me that really bothered him. He's on the other side of that. He believes we need to bring in a lot more green energy. He supports government subsidies for green energy. And I said, well, that's not my position. And he made very clear. And I say, it's not my position. It's not the position of most Oklahomans. And he told me things were going to be different and there were going to be repercussions from it. And then he removed the board members and has been attacking me ever since. And I think it's unfortunate, not because of me and him, but because it's the people of Oklahoma who we serve. The people of Oklahoma have been very clear on what they want for the future of the state. Governor Stitt has been way out of step with that when it comes to his green energy initiatives. And, I'm going to continue to stand with the people of Oklahoma. So that's the real disappointing part about it, is that he's just way out of step with the people of Oklahoma on that issue.
You went to D.C. this week. I'm running out of time here, but what happened? I saw you met with Linda McMahon.
Yeah, so the White House invited me up. What they were doing is they did a big initiative there on the founders and the history of America that is now on display in the White House. They wanted to highlight Oklahoma's history standards. They were very excited about that. So yeah, I got to meet with Linda McMahon, got to meet with the White House team. And so a tremendous success for Oklahoma to be leading the country there with our history standards. And also, to get to be in these conversations of what's next for America, what's next for schools across the country. I got to talk to a lot about what we're doing and got to see a lot about what President Trump's next plans are in Oklahoma. Oklahoma is going to be the front and center state on President Trump's plans for America and American schools, and we're very proud of that. We're very proud of the president and his team, and so we're going to continue to work very closely with them. We've got some big announcements to come soon. All
right, Superintendent, I'm out of time. We could talk for hours,
we could,
I feel.
Absolutely.
We could. Let's have you back. All right.
Absolutely. We'd love to,
Rick. Thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Rick.